Well then, in that case, we will clean the sails.
Triangle of Sadness, a dark comedy, wild satire, and overall chaotic ride of a film. However, beneath the not-so-hidden messaging and bizarre events that take place is a brilliant film that has so much to say. My favorite part? Nothing in the film is by accident. Every little detail from the shot selection to the irritating flies buzzing around throughout is all very meticulous and masterfully done. Let's discuss. Yaya is heavily put off by the fact that her boyfriend is sleeping with someone else right before her eyes. But she also cannot turn away the extra food that she gets from Carl, really demonstrating a world where everyone uses everyone. Perhaps disgruntled by the whole situation, she decides to take a long hike to the top of a nearby hill in order to see what there is on the other side and in hopes of finding any help. As she informs Abigail and Carl about this, Abigail decides to accompany her, and the two women together climb up the hill. Despite being angry at the self-proclaimed captain for the matter with Carl, Yaya praises Abigail for being able to run a matriarchy so successfully, and so soon. Whether Yaya genuinely believes what she says, or just says it to ensure that her relationship with Abigail is maintained, I think is actually quite obvious. Remember the point about Yaya being a master manipulator? Well, it comes into play here, and yet again during the final moments of the movie. More on that in a sec. Finally, when the two women climb down the hill from the other side, Yaya seems to spot something and be exhilarated by it. Once Abigail reaches the spot, the two women see a modern elevator built on the side of the rock, meaning that the island actually has a luxury resort on one side of it and is not isolated after all. Yaya is ecstatic with the realization that they will be rescued. However, Abigail quickly realizes that if such were to happen, her whole identity as the captain and the privileges she was getting by being on top of the social class would be gone. She excuses herself, gets a hold of a big rock, and then approaches Yaya from behind. Okay, I have two theories about the ambiguous ending here. Theory number one. Yaya uses her master manipulation abilities to spare her own life. Yaya is smart. She's completely aware of how being rescued would affect Abigail. Or she at least understood it after Abigail wanted to extend the time before they will enter the elevator. And upon checking that she doesn't have any kids and Abigail having a bad job, her only way to get out of the situation is to manipulate Abigail. She becomes very aware that Abigail enjoys the power she has here, and that it will all be lost upon returning to their regular lives. Yaya hears Abigail walking back toward her, and without turning around, because it may threaten Abigail and cause her to throw the rock, Yaya calmly offers to help Abigail by offering for her to become her assistant after they go back to their normal lives. A clever way to save her own life, potentially. Or theory number two, and a little bit more of a bleak ending. The donkey represents Yaya. The first time they were in the yacht, while Yaya and Carl were sunbathing, you know, the scene where he gets that guy kicked off, there were flies hovering over her, which is a theme that is present throughout. The flies also surround her when they wash up on shore after the pirate attack, and then ultimately her face becomes covered in bug bites as well. The same goes for the donkey. The flies are surrounding the donkey, and it ultimately dies in the exact same vein as Yaya. The donkey was foreshadowing Yaya's eventual death. It all leads to the final shot of the film. Carl rushing through the forest on the island. This might suggest that he has gone in search of the two women who have still not returned. Perhaps he heard Yaya scream, much like how the donkey did during its death scene. This might further suggest that Abigail enters the resort posing as the sole survivor and tries to get away from the situation in another way. Or, another possibility can be that Abigail returns to camp and tells Carl of the accidental death of Yaya, and so he rushes through the forest in search of his girlfriend's body. The fate of the other survivors is also not directly mentioned, although a scene does show that they too would realize that there are others on the island. A local seller walks through the empty beach with all his stuff, when Therese calls out to him and tries to explain her and the other's situation to him. However, since she cannot say anything other than "in den woken," it seems that there would still be some time before the locals and the survivors manage to establish communication with each other. Alright, what did you guys think of the Triangle of Sadness? What are some things I forgot to mention in this video? I would love to hear all your thoughts below, and if you could give the video a like, it would mean the world. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel so we can do it all again on the next video. Peace.